Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to, of course, the Friday review. Today I am reviewing the second full-length album from German new wave or traditional heavy metal band Blizzen, and the album is titled World in Chains, which was released through Pure Steel Records on April 24th of this year. Now, it's of course has been 4 years since I reviewed their debut full-length album Genesis Reversed, which again, that was 2016, so definitely it's been quite a long time. So really, it's kind of curious on what my thoughts are on their second album, on if they progressed any further with this album. But before I get into my thoughts on this album in general, I guess for some of those who might not still be familiar with Blizzen, let me definitely run through a little bit, as quick as I could, on their history. Of course, they are from Germany. They were formed in 2014, and they had released their debut demo on that same year. Then they, of course, had followed with the Time Machine EP, which in some ways was also their debut on High Roller Records. Then, of course, they followed up with their debut full-length album on High Roller Records, which was Genesis Reversed. Of course, that was their last album on High Roller Records. Now, of course, we are with World in Chains. So with that, let's definitely get into World in Chains. So, before I really get into, to my thoughts on the sound, let me definitely run through the track listing here, which, according to Metal Archives, there seems to be 9 songs, but if you go on to Discogs, it's actually 8, because the first 2 tracks here are pretty much combined. So, it basically is Intro / Gates of Hell, Forged with Evil, Gravity Remains, World in Chains, Serial Killer, Paradise Awaits, Lust, and Forsaken Soul. All of this clocks in around 34 minutes and 2 seconds, so it's really not that long of a release to begin with. So, now let's finally get to I guess, my thoughts on the album. So, I'm just going to go from the beginning here, which again, it begins with a grandiose 56-second synth-based intro, which again, cool, sets up the vibe of the album. Then, of course, it breaks into the actual song for the album, which is Gates of Hell, which is a galloping metal romp. And definitely, again, it sets the album fine enough, and again, it begins the album very great. Forged with Evil follows next, and it's a fast as light speed metal rocker that, again, definitely continues the pace in the album very great. Gravity Remains follows, which is a fun mid-pace melodic heavy rocker, definitely a great track. The title track, which starts slow with a cool vibe before breaking into more galloping metal. It's definitely a cool track nonetheless. Serial Killer, on the other hand, it begins with a spoken voice intro, which is as quoted. Believe me, if I started murdering people, there will be none of you left. Basically, that says what's been quoted here. I had to write that down. So, after all of that, it of course then breaks into basically into more galloping metal. Again, just galloping pace, traditional metal like the previous track. Paradise Awaits, just more fist-pumping traditional metal. Lust starts with the sounds of a lighter being lit, so then going in, well, as you would expect, more fist in the air, mid-pace traditional metal, and of course, Forsaken Soul, which ends on a blazing note like riders riding into the darkness. So, there you go. There is World in Chains, the second full-length album from German metal band Blizzen. So, as far as my rating, it's a 8.95 out of 10. As far as listening to this album and comparing to how I didn't go back to listen to Genesis Reversed, but as far as what I remember of Genesis Reversed, I think as far as how I feel towards this album and how I felt towards Genesis Reversed, I think this is more of a step in a better direction. I feel this one is a lot more energized compared to Genesis Reversed, which I thought was a good album, but compared to this, I think this album is 10 times better than Genesis Reversed. Surprisingly, again, they just sound a lot more youthful on the sound. They sound a lot more energized. They sound more fun. You can tell that they're having a great time in the studio or wherever they are at least recording this. Definitely, they just sound a lot more inspired on this one than they did on Genesis Reversed, in my opinion. They definitely it seems like with each release, they definitely seem to get more tighter and they definitely get a little better and they start to enjoy themselves a lot more. Everything, again, it just all sounds natural here. I mean, yes, as far as compared to other new wave or traditional heavy metal bands, they definitely don't stray too far from at times bands like either Enforcer or those kind of bands to be exact. But still, I think that they definitely do something great on this album. And again, I think as far as, again, with the Genesis Reversed, I think they just sound a lot better on the sound than they did on that. They definitely seem to progress with each release, so it's definitely great. So definitely, I give it at least, say, 8.95. I mean, it's not a perfect album by any means, but it does the job very nicely on definitely giving the listener, something fun to listen to. So I think on that aspect, it definitely hits a lot of those points. So it's definitely a good album from these guys, and I'm definitely curious on where they definitely take their journey next with their follow-up album. So with that, this album has been out since April 24th, and for those who probably might be, or at least familiar with this album, definitely let me know what you thought of this album if you had at least listened to it. If you haven't, I definitely recommend checking this album out. I also do somewhat recommend to check out their previous two releases just to kind of just to let you get a little more of an idea and more feel on how they definitely seem to come in with this album in general. So it's definitely a good album. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. This Every Thrash I Say I'm out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.